days of Halloween.
As an avid house hunter myself, one thing I've always dreamed of is touring a former celebrity's home, looking at all of the ornate details and personal style of Hollywood royalty that once was, and of course, their ghosts. Enjoy. Maybe Marilyn Monroe's early death at age 36 is the reason her ghost seems to be hanging around in several locations throughout the Hollywood area. She has unfinished business. Monroe's presence has been felt at her Brentwood home in LA, where she allegedly committed suicide in 1962 from a drug overdose. She is also reportedly seen in the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, where she stayed often in the 1950s. She preferred the Cabana Room Suite 246, which overlooked the pool. Inside her room was a full-length mirror that a hotel employee was dusting one day when she saw the reflection of a blonde woman in the glass. When she turned around, she wasn't there. That mirror is now located in the hotel lobby, so everyone can have a chance to capture a glimpse of Marilyn. Another popular actor who still hangs around the Roosevelt is Montgomery Clift, who died in 1966 at age 44. Clift reportedly paces up and down the 9th floor hallways, rehearsing his lines. Monroe's ghost is also reportedly seen near Crypt 24, where she is buried at Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park. And just to show you how real estate moves quickly around Marilyn, a crypt located directly above her sold for $4.6 million. And just this past August, her Brentwood home sold in 24 days, above asking price. Our darling Lucy is still reportedly stirring up trouble at her old house on Roxbury Drive in Beverly Hills. While Lucy was considered the queen of comedy, business was no laughing matter to her. She was as tough as they come. Along with her strong business acumen, she was a bit superstitious and had some uncanny spiritual powers. She reportedly did not want to be anointed the queen of comedy or continue doing her I Love Lucy shows. That is, until her idol, the late Carole Lombard, visited her in her dreams and told her to give it a whirl. Later in the day, on the morning Lucy died, her good friend Carol Burnett received flowers from Lucy for her 56th birthday. Lucy's body is interred in Jamestown, New York, but her spirit reportedly frequents her old Beverly Hills home, as well as the Hart Building at the Paramount Studios, where Desi Lou Studios was located and the I Love Lucy show was produced. The night watchmen report the spirit of a woman who haunts the upper floors, giving off a strong scent of an old, flowery-like perfume. The coal miner's daughter turned country music star Loretta Lynn claims to have psychic powers and has come in contact with many ghosts, including that of her father. Her home is located in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. She found it back in the 1960s when she and her husband Oliver went on a drive in the country to find a larger home for their growing family. According to town lore, it is an old plantation with a dark history. 19 Confederate soldiers are buried on the property, and the home is haunted by the original owner of the plantation, plus a woman in white and slaves that worked the plantation and were kept in the slave pit. A few years ago, Loretta brought in a spiritual medium to try to help her rid the home of spirits, And during the filming for the TV show The Insider, the spiritual medium said he could see blood everywhere. He was supposed to spend the night, but decided to leave when the spirits told him to get out. He thought, I should probably get out. It feels like I'm in somebody's place, and they don't want me to disrupt it. For any Loretta Lynn fans, there's a song she wrote for her pal, Patsy Cline, who was her inspiration and reason for her success. The song, This Haunted House. Actor Nicolas Cage has always had a penchant for the offbeat in real estate, so it made sense that he came to own this notoriously haunted New Orleans property, the Lalaurie House. Telling the New York Daily News, "You know, other people have beachfront property. I have ghostfront property." The story goes that Madame Lalaurie, a socialite of great wealth and prominence in New Orleans in the early 1830s, and her husband would host elaborate parties at the house. But she had a reputation as someone who abused the slaves that worked for her. In one tale, Delphine was whipping the child of a slave when the child broke away and ran to the roof, falling to her death. Legend goes that the turning point for Madame Lalaurie occurred when a fire broke out in the mansion, and when help arrived, they witnessed horrific scenes of punishment and torture inflicted on the slaves. Delphine fled, never to be seen again. The home has undergone many changes and owners over the years, including Cage, but the actor fell in hard financial times and lost the property in a foreclosure auction. Some other homes Cage purchased include an 11th century castle in Germany, a huge English Tudor estate in Bel Air, an English country manor in Rhode Island, another historic New Orleans home, and 2 more contemporary homes, one in Las Vegas and one in Newport Beach. Way before Brad and Angelina, Hollywood's celebrity power couple in the 1920s was silent film actress Mary Pickford and her husband, Douglas Fairbanks. The couple purchased an 18-acre parcel in Beverly Hills in 1919, in which only a hunting cabin existed on the property. Renowned California architect Wallace Neff designed a glorious 22-room mansion where Pickford and Fairbanks entertained their Hollywood friends and celebrities of the time. They dubbed it Pickfair. Dinners at the mansion included Charlie Chaplin, George Shaw, H.G. Wells, and F. Scott Fitzgerald. The Pickfair legend goes that the spirit of a female servant was witnessed on several occasions by the couple. When they divorced in 1936, Pickford kept the estate and eventually married Charles Buddy Rogers. After Pickford died in 1979, Rogers was reportedly visited by a woman in a long white gown that he believed was Mary. Rogers soon moved out, subdivided the Pickfair estate, and put it on the market. It sat for a while until LA Lakers owner Jerry Buss bought it in 1980. Reportedly, the spirit sightings increased. In addition to the woman in white, a male spirit was seen in the entrance hall, as well as an apparition carrying sheet music. In 1988, Pickfair was sold to Pia Zadora and her husband, who promised to restore the mansion, but instead demolished it and built a new home in its place. The Hollywood community was not happy with losing the historic mansion, but the demolition supposedly exorcised the spirits of Pickfair. At least for now. Did George Reeves really take his own life with a single gunshot to the head, or was his death part of a more sinister plot? Reeves, who was best known for his portrayal of Superman in the 1950s television show Adventures of Superman, died June 16, 1959, in his home, just days before he was supposed to marry socialite Leonore Lemon. The night he died, he reportedly drank heavily and fought openly with Lemon, as witnessed by friends. He went upstairs in a foul mood, and shortly after, Lemon and guests say they heard a single gunshot from his bedroom. Though ruled a suicide, many people refuse to believe he killed himself due to strange findings in the crime scene. There have been reports that the Reeves house being haunted with inexplicable noises in the upstairs bedroom and the smell of gunpowder, plus belongings being moved around. There are also stories of dogs standing in the doorway barking and refusing to enter the room, as well as lights flickering on and off. Some even say George Reeves appears at the foot of the bed every now and then, dressed as Superman. The exact location of Harry Houdini's home, or whether he even owned a home in Los Angeles, has been as mysterious as the magician himself. But what appears to be the case is Houdini became friends with a man named Ralph Walker, who built a large estate in 1915 at the corner of Laurel Canyon Boulevard and Willow Glen Road. Walker was a department store magnate who spared no expense and oversaw construction of a magnificent 3-story Mediterranean-style home on 4 acres. It had a grand masonry staircase that connected the lower grounds to the mansion, and the grounds contained stone terraces, grottos, walkways, fountains, and springs. Walker also built a 4-bedroom guest house on the knoll across the street from the mansion. This guest home is probably where Houdini stayed when he visited the area in 1919 while making movies for the famous Players Lasky Corp. An elevator in the guest house went to a tunnel under the road, connecting the 2 properties. Due to Houdini's celebrated status at the time, Walker's property became known as Houdini's house. Shortly after Houdini died on Halloween of 1926, his wife Bess and her manager Edward Saint lived in the guest house until Walker's death in 1935. Walker's mansion was then sold to a real estate broker, Charles Wilson, who reportedly leased it to an ex-con turned evangelist. Walker's mansion was then sold to a real estate broker, Charles Wilson, who reportedly leased it to an ex-con turned evangelist, who used the mansion as a retreat for his followers. Wilson died in 1954, and the home was then purchased by Fania Pearson, who lived there until a brush fire swept through the canyon in 1959, destroying the mansion and leaving behind only beautiful masonry work. The land sat this way for many years, occupied by vagrants and visits from Houdini fans. In 1997, the property was purchased by an antiques dealer. Then 3 other owners had possession until Jose Nazar purchased it in 2006. He is now renting out the home and grounds as Houdini Park, where it is used for charity events, film shoots, weddings, and special occasions. One thing confirmed is the tunnel between the homes really did exist, but was flooded and has not been used. Known simply as The Mansion, it is currently owned by music producer Rick Rubin, who uses it as a recording and production studio, where bands like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Audioslave, Mars Volta, Slipknot, and Linkin Park have recorded. Rumor has it that the mansion has been haunted since 1918, when the son of the owner pushed his lover from the balcony. The current mansion is built on the grounds of the original mansion, which burned to the ground in the late 1950s, during a fire that swept Laurel Canyon. The rebuilt mansion has been used as a recording studio during the 60s and 70s by artists like Mick Jagger, Jimi Hendrix, David Bowie, and the Beatles. Artists who have stayed in the mansion while recording have reported strange happenings, such as sightings of orbs, doors opening when they have been firmly closed, and other odd occurrences. Before we had TV reality shows like John and Kate +8, or the Osbournes or the Kardashians, We had a real family playing themselves in a scripted TV show back in the 60s called The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. The show was a huge success and featured Ozzie and Harriet Nelson and their sons, Ricky and David. Their real home in the Hollywood Hills was used for the exterior shots, but the interior scenes were filmed in a studio. As a matter of fact, the show was so good that it helped propel the career of their teen idol son, Ricky. Ozzie's apparition has been seen in various spots in the old Nelson house. Witnesses also report the sound of footsteps, faucets, and lights turning on and off, and doors opening and closing. So, if you're in the market for a new home, maybe avoid these gems. Unless you don't mind a few extra roommates who don't pay rent and keep you up at night. See you next time.